Good evening, everyone. My name is Franklin Gomes Flores. I'm one of your Chatham County Commissioners representing District 5, and I am grateful for your patience. I just got out of a board meeting today. But without further ado, I was born in Guatemala. My family immigrated to the United States when I was 5. That was back in 1999. My family moved and established in Siler City. I was enrolled in our K-12 system, graduated from Jordan Matthews back in 2012. I actually naturalized during that period in high school back in 2009. And after graduation, I went on to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and pursued my degree in biology. So while I'm not an expert in wastewater or in water, I do have some knowledge in the understanding of the importance of our natural resources here in Chatham County. One of the main things that allowed me to, or inspired me to pursue a career in politics or in government was actually transitioning out of my desire in pursuit of the medical field. So I was actually interested in going into medical school, but early on I discovered that that wasn't my passion and that it was more government and politics or policy. And in 2017, I actually ran for town board in Siler City. I lost, but that led me the opportunity to be recognized and invited to serve on the planning board for Chatham County. I served up until I was elected, and given the circumstances of my district, we are one of the lowest income communities, low resource communities, and so given my background in biology, I just naturally gravitated to the basic necessities of life: health, social services, safety and security, education, trading, and job and economic opportunities. So I'm on the Board of Health here in Chatham County. I'm also on the Board of Trustees for Chatham Hospital. I'm actually serving on a task force trying to preserve our maternity care center, which is facing a lot of staffing issues. And so one of the things that I really acknowledge is the difference in the resource and opportunities throughout the different sections of the county. I grew up in Siler City, as I mentioned. It was a time where buildings were kind of crumbling down and falling apart. Back then when we first moved, there was a series of buildings in downtown that are no longer there today. And a lot of that has to do with the involvement of the local officials, and I'm grateful playing a more involved role now with the county and in trying to pursue and establish and attract companies for economic opportunities, particularly in the campsite, to bring resources and economic opportunities over in the West. Not to go too far, but back when we had Wolf Speed, the announcement, I was actually invited to the Bondley community where the owners have a commercial strip, and their project was actually stalled for 3 years. Last year, they called me to set up a meeting, and we discussed, they shared their issues and the challenges that they were facing, and it honestly only took one email, and they got the project rolling. And sometimes it's just, having the time to go into the community and really listen to them, and trying to address the issues to, economic opportunity or provide them the opportunity for having, economic prosperity in every community within Chatham County. I'm not here to, be a gatekeeper from resources from other communities. I believe that we should all be working together, understanding one another to really address our issues. Because as being a Latino, one of the things that we kind of complain as a community is the treatment that we get. And so one of my philosophies has always been treat others the way I want to be treated. And so how can I go and mistreat one community or not, give them the time that everybody deserves and then be asking for, some level of special treatment towards my community. So I go in trying to treat everybody with respect and dignity, and that's the basis of who I am. I treat everybody with respect. Respect is bi-directional. I love everybody. I love every single individual here, whether we agree in politics or not. At the end of the day, we're really trying to solve the issues here in Chatham County and work for a better Chatham County.
Franklin, could you be a little bit more specific about what you would like to do to see both the rural and the urban areas have equitable opportunities?
So I believe that we have overlapping issues, and like I said, it's really about going in and having conversations with one another to really understand the shortcomings and seeing how we can overlap potential efforts to address our issues. More notably with the broadband issue, you would assume that some developed or more developed areas in Chatham County would have access to internet, and that's not the case. And so I've actually been involved with a grassroots effort trying to develop a digital equity and inclusion plan in Chatham County to serve not only rural areas but also the urbanized areas. And currently we're actually in the process of getting community input, whether that's from nonprofits, for-profits, community partners, that's schools. That's one of the areas that I'm actually involved actively in. We all have issues, and they're not necessarily the same. For example, in the Northeast, we hear about the wastewater issues, water quality issues, and in some areas that may not be the issue. And so how can we, work together to help you resolve that issue while helping another community resolve a different issue? And so it's more so like the balance of investments. I don't really want to stand in the way of any community receiving resources, but rather how can we work together to really address our maybe overlapping but also distinct issues that we're facing.
You mentioned the wastewater issues in a general way. Can you mention anything specifically about what you would like to see done to address wastewater issues?
So with wastewater issues, I've actually had a conversation with various individuals, professionals in the field, whether that's with Dr. House, who's involved with the Wastewater Study Commission. He's actually brought up a different perspectives, and I'm an individual that likes options. You provide me one alternative or the other, I like to explore further into details. So one of the things that was brought up was, partnerships with different jurisdictions, whether that's with Durham County, Durham City, Sanford, whether that's improving our local or the municipal infrastructure. I'm open to ideas. Really, we need to be cost effective here. We have a variety of economic opportunities from Wolf Speed and from VinFast, and so we need to be strategic in how we allocate these funds. I think it's very critical for us to make these investments and not really hold back just because we see a large budget. Put it into business perspective. If your clientele if you're increasing in clientele or if you're increasing in revenue, are you going to spend less or are you going to spend more? Naturally, you're going to spend more. So I believe it's critical for us to have these strategic conversations with our local jurisdictions to see what is the best approach that's cost effective and most effective or beneficial for our local communities.
Thank you. And lastly, is there anything that you would like to see done about PFAS and dioxin issues in Chatham?
Of course, I'm also not your biggest expert, so I rely heavily on matter experts. And so having conversations with local leaders involved in this arena who've dedicated their lives, I rely heavily on what their perspective is. Personally, I would like to see more investments for clean water. I understand that these forever chemicals do accumulate within our body, and they're not necessarily only present in the water, they're also present in some levels of paint. And so it's a really bigger perspective to really educate the community. But making these investments, whether it's improving our local infrastructure for water quality, is probably the most immediate opportunity that we could see.
Thank you. Well, our Senate candidates are coming up.